How has the Eskom crisis affected you as a Cape Town resident?
So very badly. The load shedding is a disaster. It's ridiculous, exorbitant at the moment.
Into yombane iyani-affecta kakubi wena bhuti wami ngoba phakuma endlini nabantwana abancinci abafundayo. Izolo umbane wahamba izolo abantwana iincwadi zabo akazange uzifunde ngenxa kumnyama.
Eskom was started or put together to generate power for the mining sector in South Africa. And at that moment in time, the mining sector was either owned by big business and the state itself. So it made sense for a power utility to exist to get energy to the mines. So funny enough, Kimberley was the first city in the world to get electricity before London. Only later on did it end up focusing on actually generating electricity for the masses.
The tariffs are hiking. You know, as a working class, it's paining for me to have to spend something like 2,000 rand a month only on electricity. You know, when I buy 200 rand worth of electricity, it only gives me 72 kilowatts, which only lasts me for 4 days. And if you can times that for the whole month, that is almost half of my salary. And that really I cannot afford to lose that much.
So like everybody else, it's affected me financially. It used to be that I could pay 500 rand for electricity for the month, and now it doesn't even last me half the month, especially during winter. It's also incredibly inconvenient with the load shedding. It's bad for productivity, it's bad for my work. But what I'm most concerned about in terms of Eskom and the crisis of leadership in Eskom and the crisis that Eskom has led the whole country into is the issue of climate change.
So one of the biggest challenges is reconciling how it can be corporatized but also giving resources to the masses. And that snowballed to the issues that we're facing today. One of the biggest other challenges I'd say actually is the idea of thinking that we can build power stations without actually maintaining them, which led to, one would say, the 2007/2008 load shedding that began. You find some documents and some sort of literature that says that the Mbeki government at the time were warned a couple of years beforehand that the power stations needed to be maintained. And one can sort of gleefully think of what Mbeki would have said, which was, the market will take care of the power stations. And the market did, and that's why we still have load shedding.
We've got this cut-offs that Eskom, if he comes into your house and cut your electricity, he might say you're owing. And then because you're owing, they'll come and cut your electricity.
Whenever there's a load shedding, 1 or 2 appliances are going to be destroyed or are going to be damaged, and then now that expense is left with the consumer to fix.
We found 5 key Eskom problems. The first one being the cost of primary energy. The second one being the cost of servicing the plus 400 billion debt that Eskom has. The third one is the failure of Eskom to collect revenue. You will know that Eskom is owned a lot of money by municipalities. I think now it's at 36 billion. And then the fourth one is the cost of servicing the power purchase agreements, the PPAs. The contract that is signed between Eskom government and the independent power producers, the IPPs. And the last one, there's a drop in sales. And when the sales drops, they affect almost everything, because drops in sales will affect your revenue.
So instead of a government to save Eskom, the government must save the poor people. The solar panel, it's the best. Clean energy, it's the best.
Our president keeps on chopping and changing who's going to be either the group CEO or the CEO itself of Eskom. But what we're seeing with what Minister Pavin Gordhan put on the table in relation to the roadmap in terms of restructuring Eskom is that all they're wanting to do right now, the government, is to make sure that they create the conditions for a seamless move to unbundling Eskom. And they're doing that under the guise of, we need to transform because we need to deal with the climate crisis. So that's in essence what's taking place.
So the bottom line is that unbundling doesn't resolve Eskom's biggest problems. In fact, it's going to add to its cost burdens because you're now going to have 3 administrations to run these three unbundled Escoms. All those 3 entities will require an executive management. You're actually going to bloat the wage bill.
And this is, I would say, the most urgent intervention we need to start thinking about. And in the common concept which everyone is talking about, we call it the just transition. Now, the just transition basically speaks to how we move away from one system into another. And in this case, we'll be talking about how we phase out coal to move to alternative or renewable energy of electricity generation.